Yeah, for me, it's very important to set a very clear vision. It starts with a vision and a strategy, and that should come from the leader. And that goal and that should be on one side very clear vision, and also very clear milestones within that, how to get there, so that the entire team can follow the journey and understand what we are doing, and also what's the role of everyone.
Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of London Spirit Competition, London Wine Competition, and London Beer Competition. This one's a very special interview that I did with Mark Witte, CEO of the Kuyper Distilleries, right? So they're one of the biggest distilleries in the world and the biggest cocktail liquor supplier to the drinks industry in the world. I chat about wisdom in this show, very different. I chat about leadership in this show. So if you are a CEO or a founder or an aspiring leader or into a management position, who have a growth role, who have to lead the organization, this is the episode you would really want to check it out. Enjoy this conversation with me, which led this company to an amazing growth story, where we talk about some principles about leadership. Thank you. Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of Beverage Trade Network, and welcome to the Wisdom Show, where I chat with the world's drinks leaders who have done it, who I personally want to learn from and who you all should learn from. These are the people who we learn from and take some wisdom back, because they've done it, they've experienced it, they've seen a lot of ups and downs. So let's chat with Mark Witte, CEO of the Kuyper Royal Distillers, one of the world's biggest distilleries out there and the biggest liquor cocktail supplier to the bar industry, to the drinks industry in the world. Mark has also led, a few positions in Bacardi, leading for Germany, more importantly into this company for almost 9 years, right, Mark? And you've seen the COVID, you've taken this company to different levels. So we can talk about some numbers, back it up with your experience as well. I think why don't we give the mic to you and you give me some of your highlights, some of your key leadership positions that you've done, and then we can dive right into, view from the top on how you view your company and lead the company.
Yeah, more than happy. And thanks for giving me the opportunity, and look forward to chat with you, Sid. I started my career actually by coincidence in the drinks industry in 1989 as marketing manager at Seagram in the Netherlands. A great company, Seagram, at that time. Unfortunately, doesn't exist anymore. But I started there as marketing manager, and as mentioned by coincidence, I was a marketeer by profession, and the drinks industry is clearly for marketeers the Valhalla, where you can really build brands, where you can create value, etc. So, and then in 1996, I got my first managing director position. I was then 37, and since then I have had the privilege to lead all kind of companies in the spirits industry. So, moved in 2000 to Bacardi Netherlands as MD. In 2008, was appointed MD of Bacardi Brown-Forman brands in UK. Great combination. And then in December 2011 was appointed MD of Bacardi DACH Nordics, a new entity constructed of 8 countries. So Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and the Scandinavian countries. And then in 2015, so indeed 9 years ago, I was appointed global CEO then for the Kuyper Royal Distillers, a smaller company, admittedly, than Bacardi, but at the same time, the beauty of that role was to be globally responsible, and with all the perks that means. And so yeah, that's my history. The interesting thing in my career was that I've had also the privilege to do a couple of company transformations, and the last one is clearly with the Kuyper, which we started in 2015. And the Kuyper in itself is a very old family-owned company, 329 years old, focusing on liqueurs. And what we did do was, in 2015, is setting a new vision. And the vision was to own the cocktail, and the ambition was to triple the turnover in the next 10 years. And so that was setting the scene at that moment. And
wow! So when you were hired, that was the expectation, right? Okay, we're taking you for 10 years, and this is what we're expecting from you. that was the beer talk?
No, it was the other way around. I was hired to lead the company, and we set ourselves actually that ambition. It was not asked for. No, no. But at the same time, it's not no fun to just look after a company and just keep it going. It's clearly much more interesting, not only for me but also for the owners of the company and also for the employees to set a great journey together. So that's what we did. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So let's go in the leadership role, right? And also actually, the CEO title role. So I'm reading a book on execution, one of the old classic books, and that really tells me that where you can have ideas and then you can have outputs, but in the middle there is something called execution. And if you think chief executive officer, which is meant to execute the dreams, the goals, the strategy, what are the 3 or 4 main things that you yourself see as a KPI for your job?
Yeah, I do think there's no clear, consistent set of KPIs for all types of CEOs. My interpretation is CEO is a playing captain. So on one side, you set the scene and set the vision that predominantly should come from the leader, from the CEO, but at the same time also, like you were saying, also executing it. So not just setting the vision, it's acting. And so that playing captain is for me a really important one, because that gives you the opportunity to understand what's happening in the company, but also utilize and build on the talent of all the people around you, and make sure that on an interactive way you can, if needed, adapt the strategy, improve it, but clearly within a framework. A strategy is not to be changed every 1.5 years or 2 years. You set a strategy, and within that framework, then you adapt based also on work with your teams and based on new insights.
I think you say 3 times growth in 10 years, right? Like that's a pretty ambitious growth. If I just calculate, that's almost like 30% every year sort of thing, or maybe 20% if it's compounded sort of, right? That's still a good number. Now you also have to play in the values of the company, in the family business. So that's a very different playing field and, sort of playing with a listed company. So do you think you have more freedom because it's private, because you can not worry about the quarterly results, which you may had to with the Bacardis of the world?
Yeah, that's absolutely a privilege for family-owned companies. There's always pros and cons for every time of business, clearly. And important, the company you work for is that the chemistry fits with your personal DNA, of course. And that can be different for different people. But yeah, the advantage of a family-owned company is that there is a longer-term perspective, or at least there's more time to adapt if needed. Of course, also listed companies have a very long perspective, but they have to report and are closely monitored. And every quarter you need to report and to explain the results. And so in a family-owned company, you have some more time to build the things you want to do and to correct if needed. Yeah, that's true.
Got it.
But the other side is clearly that a family-owned company is also most often a bit smaller, so you have less resources. So there's no brilliance in the one company is better than the other. I worked, as mentioned, with Bacardi, also a family-owned company, but way bigger. And it was a great time. It's a great company. And not compared to, you can't compare it with the Kuyper, but it's also a great company in its own size and in its own setting. Yeah.
Nice. Mark, what's leadership to you, right? In the role of a CEO, how do you define leadership?
Yeah, for me, it's very important to set a very clear vision. It starts with a vision and a strategy. And that should come from the leader. And that goal, and that should be on one side very clear vision, and also very clear milestones within that, how to get there, so that the entire team can follow the journey and understand what we are doing, and also what's the role of everyone. So that's one. The second one, at least as my personal opinion, is that as a CEO, you should have just a bit more ambition, at least, than the rest of the world and the rest of the organization, because you always want to stretch yourself and the team a bit further. So there it starts. But then it's very important that on one side you lead by example and are prepared to, or not prepared. The only thing to be successful is to listen to the good people around you. And clearly a lot of disciplines reporting to the CEO, like finance, marketing, production. And these guys have a better understanding and should be better in their discipline than you are as the leader. You combine it all together, but these guys are on their discipline, should be the specialist. And I should be able to learn from them and to understand where they can complement the team, can improve, etc. So listening is a very important part, and making sure that you get everyone on board on your journey. That's for me leadership.
How much of you have to, you're doing self-talk, which is you have to be the hardest working man in the company because you have to lead, like you have to do 14 hours if someone is doing 9 hours. You know what I mean? Like how much of this is true?
I do think most of the CEOs are not the least working guys. At the same time, it's also about being smart and organized well. So it's not by definition. I think I always made 60 or 70 hours a week, and it was fine because I loved the job. But it's not a challenge in itself that you have to work 60 or 70 hours and only then it works. You could also.
No, I get it. I get it. But sometimes, you think that you are setting, let's say this month you want to push work ethic throughout the company because you notice that the culture has become entitled, for example, and then you start with like crazy work yourself, so give me some chops there on, how do you lead those kind of things, again, by like one of the simplest way I think is just by putting yourself more hours and showing people that how hard you're working.
Yeah, but it's more than that. In my opinion, it's to have again a clear vision, but also in our situation we work with a clear vision to action and plan on a page, literally on one page. So what are the priorities of the company? What needs to be done? And then next to that, have what we call mission alignment. So make sure what the sales guys need from the marketing guys and from innovation to be successful. So how do the different disciplines interact and what needs every discipline from the other one? So it's much more to setting that scene with clear KPIs and clear models in timing, time planning, etc. Than showing how hard you work. It is much
understood.
More so make sure that it's aligned, that people know what they need to do, what's their role to become
understood.
successful.
So let's say you're setting a goal that 2024 goal is this much, for example. These are the number of cases or bottles we need to sell in this market, for example, right, of these products. And then you next step is, okay, guys, what do we need? And then you eliminate all the doubts to reach that goal. And then you sort of make sure that you have resources and, people-wise, money-wise, systems-wise, or whatever it takes to meet that goal. And then you attack.
Yeah, and important there, clearly also setting the right focus. Because however big or small a company is, there's always a limitation on resources as well, financially, as well in people, in manpower. So make sure that you set the right priorities. There are always a couple of things important, but a few things are much more important. So make sure that you have the right focus and that it's, again, understood with the entire company. When a choice has to be made, what is the priority? That's really important. So and that allows, and that's really important, that allows freedom in the different disciplines. Because at the same time, it should not be me or someone else just chasing people. They should know what is their role, what's expected from them, and they should deliver. And clearly then you have to check in. But it's not because I have to chase or someone else chasing every day. I'm lucky enough to have smart people around me who know their own job very well and know what they need to do and can organize themselves within the framework again. But that's important that at the beginning of every process, you sit together and make sure that everyone understands that process and that you have the right priorities.
Mark, how do you yourself, apart from the family or whoever you're reporting, let's say the shareholders, but apart from all those people, how do you yourself evaluate, your performance in behavior or performance, like sort of self-talk, and then you sort of, what do you learn to improve, and what's your process of that?
A couple of things. Clearly, we have the regular, the updates. It remains again important to get everyone on the journey and to be transparent and also, if needed, vulnerable if things are not working. So because again, we work with smart people, and so when things are not right, they will notice it. So better to admit it and correct it together. But in all that interactions, I learn a lot from what's doing well and what's not doing well. So that's part of my own learning and improvement process. The other one is clearly we set our goals, and then every month and every quarter we assess whether or not we make them and assess what's going right and wrong, and especially where the deviations are. You learn the most from mistakes or suboptimal things. You don't learn so much from things which are doing well, because that only bring yourself to sleep, like everything is going right. You learn from what's not going right, and there to learn how to adapt, and that's the most interesting part. Be true to yourself and be also honest to yourself what's right and not right. So don't cover up.
Painting a picture here, let's say you came out with this amazing new SKU, you tried to hit North America, you launched, for example, but then the market is telling you that it's just not happening. The data is not supporting, like the sales are not coming through, the retailers are giving objections, bartenders, you play to win, right? So you have to every year make a decision. The moves that you're doing, the markets, the product will get you the win. What's your strategy on that? And then while you're listening to the reality as you execute, you say, stop, let's change.
There are two things clearly to it. The one is at the beginning of the time period, whether or not it's half a year or a quarter, we set ourselves clear goals, and also based on a number of assumptions. So the moment there is deviation, you first check where the deviations come from. Is that because of our own execution not right? Or is the competition different? So the 5 forces model of Porter clearly also is used and checked. So
what is that, if you can elaborate?
The 5 forces, that's a pretty simple model for Porter. We use is what is changing in existing competition, in new competition, what is changing in our customer base, what's changing in the supplier chain. So what are the changes in the dynamics influencing our situation? But then coming back, so it's important not to give in too early. When you're burning money on a new product launch, then really to understand, is it because of things we cannot influence, or are there things which we can influence and can correct? And giving in on a potential successful brand, that's happening unfortunately too often. So it takes some stamina to continue when you believe in it. But that's again strategy, of course. Strategy is not blind going, even when you know it's wrong. When it's really going wrong, then you have to correct. If the strategy is right, and when you have given it sufficient thoughts, then stick to it and make sure that you correct where you have to correct, but not stop it.
Yep, agree. Let's go on some listening skills, what people can learn from. Like, I want to know, Mark, who are your sort of direct reports where you sort of, get the energy from, get the feedback from? Like, who do you, like really, really listen carefully to? And then what is your mechanism, or way to sort of get a good, message into your ears?
I have a pretty broad team. Clearly, the CFO is reporting into me. Then we have a global operations director. We have our own distillery also, as you know. A global commercial director, so responsible for our distribution market. We exporting to about 105 countries. So, working nearly always with distributors, our model. So only in US we have an own small own subsidiary. Then clearly global marketing director. Customer marketing is a separate discipline with us. And then we have an HR director, of course, and then a separate MD for the Kuyper in the Netherlands. And we have a subsidiary for business to business. So they're all reporting to me. But there are some clearly like marketing and finance. They're more the support roles and global ops. And we have some more commercial entities, more sales oriented and budget oriented.
So basically about, let's say, 9 reports, right? And out of that, I'm hearing is your priority is the commercial director, I believe.
Yes, for making the results on one side, but on the other side, clearly, again, but that comes back to the mission alignment. When we don't have the right marketing support in the right key BMCs, key brand market combinations, then clearly sales can't do the job without the right support. And that again comes also. So we have a monthly meeting with the entire team.
Okay.
And we assess, evaluate where we are with the plans, what's going right and wrong, and where we need to correct. And but that's again indeed listening in to the guys, and especially learning and focusing on what's not going right. Because
so you ask them that, tell me what's not going right first. Like, what do you make them do? Like, what do they have to report to you in that quick meeting?
Clearly that meeting is well prepared because the meeting is to decide. So there are too many. At least one of my learnings, there are too many meetings where people just attend and start information exchanging, etc. And a meeting should be really prepared by all attendees, and it should be clear what are the topics and what are we going to decide or to consult. And so what should be the outcome of the meeting, and not the literal outcome, but what direction of the outcome. And so all their reports prepare that part, and we clearly start with where we are running on the budget and those kind of things, and then you automatically come to the reasons, and then you dive into the different disciplines. But then of course the nice thing of this job is that the majority of the things need to be solved within the disciplines, so you can only listen in, and at the end when the team can't find a solution, then clearly you have to step in and make sure that a decision is taken and the priorities are set. That makes it nice. So it's important to listen in well to understand why it is like it is and where to change or correct, because that might be different opinions, and that's also good. You need different opinions. You don't need a team which is all the same impression.
On motivation and energy as well, right? What kind of things or people you mingle with or spend time with to boost your energy in the workplace, or maybe it's books, or maybe you just keep your zone and you don't sort of. But I'm sure there are some positive people. There are some hardworking people you get energy from. So what's your process of sort of getting the motivation?
Throughout the years, and potentially some people already have that when they start a career, but throughout the years, most often you get more experience in which people's opinion matter a bit more than other people's opinion, and where you think you can make the change. But that's a kind of gut feeling, and at the same time, that gut feeling needs to be confirmed in meetings and also with clear results, because you set clear KPIs at the end for the different disciplines. And so sometimes you have to go on gut feeling, but at the end, that gut feeling needs to be confirmed with concrete successes and results, and otherwise you need to adapt your insights.
True.
But so I don't read. Last couple of years, I haven't read many books. So there are clearly a couple of influence. Especially, we work a lot, especially on marketing, with the ideas of Brian Sharp. Mentioned already Porter. And they're clearly so now and then interesting articles to learn from. the most inspiration I get, frankly, is from competition. What's competition doing? And clearly, we invest a lot on insights, on and having the right insights, because at the end, it's not what we decide; it's what the consumer wants to consume, and in the right occasion. So, what can be the right cocktail solutions we can supply to the consumer in on and off trade, and based on their need states, etc. So it's very insight driven, and on one side, and that's what we can do ourselves, and on the other side, what's the competition doing? And there are a lot of smart competitors also there, and some of them, and or a lot of them, do very good things. So we can learn from them, and so we don't want to just copy. But if we can learn from them, then clearly that's also an insight which we should use. So those are my sources.
Nice. I want to pick some couple of other wisdom, from you, and in the value of principles, right? You must have some 5 or 6 things that you've seen that has worked for you, or maybe you've made some notes. So, what are some sort of business principles that you can share with us, Mark?
For me, important is always to ask yourself, what gives us the right to win? What gives us as a company the right to win? With which brand? With which offers? With which route to market? So what makes us unique? That's one. And the second, everything we do, we always need a business and business plan. So when someone in the team comes to me with an idea, then an idea is great, but also come then with a business plan. What does it cost? What does it take? What does it bring? Otherwise, no point. Then you start dreaming, and you can't prioritize, because the good thing is, when I started 9 years ago, I think, and that was at least the impression in our company, that we're really looking for what kind of extra opportunities can we seize. And since a couple of years, since the vision seems to work, the cocktail culture has developed very well, where we're really profiting. We have more opportunities than we can seize, actually. So we can focus more and more, and prioritize. And then you need a business case. So those are the 2 really important things. Is one, what gives you the right to win? The second one, what is the business case to go for this? And another one is, for me, is really keep people always abreasted on where are we in the journey, what's happening. My door is literally open always. So because you learn a lot by being open and with the team, and be transparent and vulnerable. Also, that's absolutely, there's no one is that smart that you can do it yourself. The team is always stronger than a person.
Mm-hmm.
So on one side you're the playing captain, on the other side potentially the manager of it. But I prefer to be a leader of a successful team, and not being separated from the team.
I think you said focus, right? I think that's very important, especially when you're leading such a big organization and so many direct reports and you're responsible for everything, basically, right? So, every week, every day, every month, every year, you have to pick your priorities. How do you, what's your, like, you give one good point, which is in the principle that itself, like, what's your unique, route to market, what's your right products, what's your key markets, key products, let's say, so that, I believe, is the focus. Always make sure that stays there, right? But apart from, that, like, how do you again how do you again and again, because so much like interruptions come in the day, or, some bad thing happens, some country distribution is not happening, some importer is not paying, whatever it is, but you again have to align back in that focus and come in the good mental space as well, right? How do you sort of, what's your daily routine? Maybe if that helps, if you can share us.
So, for example, we have a couple of brands we would love to acquire in addition to the brands we have. So we have a short list on that one. And at the same time, we are, I think, approached every month with some companies and who want to sell the brands. But within 10 minutes, we know whether or not we are might be interested or not, because we have so clear for ourselves determined what can work for us and what can't work for us. And then clearly you come to the financials, etc. So my discipline in that one is again, based back to the plan on a page, where what's not there, in principle, we should not do it, and what's there, we really should prioritize. And then literally my daily routine, it's very varied. I've traveled a lot. I'm stepping down in a couple of months' time, as you most probably know. Travel a lot, so to the key distributors, so to really also understand what's happening in the market myself. So travel about 35% of my time. But when I'm in the office, the first start of the morning is always to check what's the turnover of today, and clearly the company doesn't change by a good day or a bad day. Clearly that fluctuates, etc. But it starts anyhow by knowing the numbers and knowing what's happening in the company, and whether or not we are in general on track, whether or not we see trends happening. Because if there are trends, and not like you said, some markets slowing down, some categories slowing down, some competition coming up, the earlier you spot it, the earlier you can correct or adapt if needed. That's an important one. So stay close to the pulse.
Do you subscribe to any newsletters like Harvard Business Review, or apart from that, like any other leadership or management books or tech newsletters or readings, or maybe you've gone into some mentorship with someone?
Now we work clearly a lot with the obvious one, of course, all the normal industry data sets, the IWSRs, etc. Of course, there we check, and also what's regionally trending and changing. So yeah, that's an important one, and partly I get it. I read it myself, but I would say that's a couple of hours per week. That's not
okay.
Not weeks and days and weeks. That's a couple of hours really screening top lines, and clearly from our marketing department, we get also an extract on the more details for the key markets.
Understood. So you're consuming a lot of data of our industry, basically, in helping you navigate, and that's your reading, basically, right?
Yeah.
One last thing, Mark, on I think I really want to know, how do you come in good mood every day to the office? Because you have to, as a CEO, you have to be happy, you have to be positive, you have to be optimist. So I'm sure there must be some self-talk or some gratitude or some way that 10 minutes. What do you? The moment you step out of the car and enter the office, that 10 minutes, what's the conversation?
Yeah, actually, that's not. That sounds strange. That's not. So some people indeed do meditation, etc. And no, I feel blessed. We work in a great industry. It is a lovely industry, the drinks industry. It's you build your brands predominantly in the on-trade. You have a lot of opportunities to engage with people. What brings me out of bed every day is how to create more value, and that's absolutely very possible with spirits and with liqueurs, and to develop people in the team, how to bring them to a next level in their career, and on the third side, enjoying the hospitality, and all three are there in the industry. So yeah, it is a great industry to work. I mentioned.
So you don't become anxious or anxiety, or you don't lose sleep when there is a bad month. Like you're a happy person overall.
I've had bad. Yeah, yes. I feel privileged. I came by coincidence in this industry, and then you never get out again, and you don't want to get out. It's a lovely industry. So lots of people who left the industry, if they get the chance, they come back. But no, I've had when COVID arose. At that moment of time, I remember we had our complete order book full, and we saw it just fading out in a couple of months' time. And then you get concerned, because you have the responsibility for, and not only for the shareholders, but also for other stakeholders, and especially for your employees. So there we have had a couple of tough months. But at the end, it turned out, one of my mantras, I didn't raise that, is issue is an opportunity. When you embrace it. So COVID first served as an issue, but it turned out that people more at home, more experimenting with cocktails, etc. At the same time, cocktails have a lot of to prepare good cocktails as well in the on-trade as well in off-trade. That takes some techniques, etc. And all the social media are great help just to create that, but also e-commerce helps a lot to deliver complete cocktail packages, etc. So it started off as an issue, COVID, but it turned out we have changed it and flipped it to an opportunity. And unless you get a serious illness, most often an issue, when you embrace it, it brings you to the next level. And so be happy with that. Like people should be happy with positive criticism. It's lots of people don't want to hear criticism, but when it's positively intended to make you better or to learn, then embrace it. That's
Yep.
So yeah, in that respect, I'm an happy person and a positive mind. But
That's great.
And so that I don't have to train that or to play that now.
Pretty much we've covered everything, but let's go on momentum, right? I personally believe momentum in business is true, in life is true, so, as a leader, you have to capitalize, you have to, make sure that all in, sort of thing. So let's imagine a case where some of your SKUs are doing, couple of SKUs are doing great. And you know that if the market, once you become a market leader in that SKU, it's a good repeat business, right? So let's go fast and sort of boost money, paid ads or whatever it takes, or more sales reps. But let's be number one in Chicago as a market, let's say. So how do you what's your belief into this, that actually it's better to be number one fast when you guarantee, that this is a guarantee, this will yield good results. But oftentimes we just can't make that move. Like we just can't, because we're afraid, or what if it doesn't work?
Hey, but that's exactly why it's important to stay close on the figures and on the trends. Because when something like you described happens, then you immediately have to speed up. And that's also the positive thing of being a family-owned company. So we are not locked in budget. Of course, we need to deliver the budget, but the moment we see an opportunity, we can invest more to seize the opportunity. A good example is in the Netherlands we launched the ready-to-serve cocktails under the Kuyper name. And in the Netherlands, we were actually the first to go to the supermarket channel. We decided to go not to the specialist liquor stores only, but also to the supermarket. There we were the first mover. We started in April, and we are now with 55% share market leader by far. And there were some other competitors already also from the bigger companies, but in other channels, and we completely outpaced them and have taken over the market. But by speeding up, so we saw the success, build it up with more advertising support, etc. And so yeah, when you have that momentum, then seize it. And yeah, that's a very important one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah. I mean, 100%. We don't talk much about raising the bets when you hold two aces, right? And what that looks like, but it's true. Anything else, Mark, you would want to share with our drinks industry, young leaders out there?
No, what's important clearly is also I would say in the drinks industry, and we're working hard also as a company as the Kuyper on sustainability on one side, but also on low and no to have much more offerings, and especially for the younger generation. It's really important to have that offerings. So there we are also ourselves adapting to the new trends and the longer term trends. And the last thing is we're talking about successes. Of course, not everything is success, and that's also clear. There are also some failures, and I mentioned already, don't give up too early. But if it not works, then clearly you have to stop. You cannot support everything. So by freeing up more energy and resources for success, you also have to take some difficult decision in spinning off some brands, cutting off some things to make sure that the company is full focused on the right priorities.